Disney is reportedly scaling back on Snow White. This movie is in serious trouble. It's been in production hell forever. And y'all probably know about the controversies because they just keep popping up.
What a surprise. After the spectacular disaster that was Disney's 2025 live-action Snow White, a film that somehow managed to flop before it even hit the screen, panic is now running rampant through every corner of the company. From CEO Bob Iger and the board of directors, to director Marc Webb, creative mastermind Greta Gerwig, producer Aaron, and lead actress Rachel Zegler, it seems no one is safe from the fallout. What was supposed to be Disney's big, triumphant reimagining of a classic fairy tale has somehow morphed into a cautionary tale about bloated budgets, questionable decisions, and a level of storytelling that could only be described as misguided, to say the least. What could possibly have gone wrong?
How Rachel Zegler disrespected the original and a classic from Walt Disney, something that completely saved Disney and changed the company and changed animation in general.
Let's not kid ourselves. Ideology and politics aside, let's break this down. Snow White 2025 doesn't even function on the most basic cinematic level. The writing? A complete mess. The directing? Let's just say uninspired is being generous. The editing? Sloppy, to put it mildly. Reports confirm it went through not one, not two, but 3 rounds of reshoots. Red flag much? When a big-budget film spends that much time scrambling to rework its entire plot, you end up with what can only be described as a Frankenstein's monster of disconnected ideas. Scenes were tossed around like a game of Jenga. Dialogue was rewritten last minute, and don't even get me started on the character arcs. They're more like shattered fragments than actual development. In fact, Snow White 2025 is less a cohesive story and more a patchwork quilt of half-baked revisions. And let's not forget, from the moment those early test screenings rolled in, it was crystal clear to anyone at Disney that something was seriously wrong. Internal memos reportedly highlighted concerns about pacing, tonal shifts that gave whiplash, and characters that seemed to have no idea who they were. But hey, no worries, right? Disney's brand power would totally save the day, wouldn't it? Fast forward to the final product hitting theaters, and surprise! Brand recognition isn't enough to fix the glaring narrative flaws. The fallout has been nothing short of intense. Bob Iger, hailed as the messiah who would return to save Disney, now finds himself knee-deep in damage control. Meanwhile, Disney's marketing team has been given the Herculean task of spinning this flop into a triumph, pumping out TV spots dubbing it the #1 movie in the world. If only the box office agreed, with an opening weekend far below expectations and major analysts calling it a financial disaster, it's clear that this Snow White isn't just a dud, it's a full-on financial fiasco. And the drama behind the scenes? Oh, it's reached a boiling point. Sources say Rachel Zegler, the lead actress, feels like she's been left to take the fall. Apparently, she learned through the grapevine that a series of deleted scenes she thought were her best work would never see the light of day. Because, of course, nothing says, we've got everything under control, like tossing your lead under the bus when things go south. But let's dive even deeper into the mess. Bob Iger and the higher-ups at Disney made the executive decision to bury those controversial scenes, fearing they'd spark even more outrage once the film hit streaming and home video markets. Zegler's frustration is palpable. Her private outbursts and behind-the-scenes rants with her reps make it clear she's not happy with what ended up on screen. She thought her Snow White was supposed to be more complex, more confrontational, and, dare we say, more thematically rich than what Disney ultimately slapped together. So what exactly did they cut? Oh, let's unpack this treasure trove of axed content. One reportedly had Snow White delivering a scathing monologue to Jonathan, where she calls out patriarchal norms and mocks him for daring to rescue her. The scene reaches its climax with Jonathan extending a hand to help her up from a collapsing cliff. But no, Snow White has other plans. She rejects his help and scrambles up the cliff face herself. The intention? To showcase her independence, of course. But somehow, in testing, it just came across as awkward and forced. Great job, guys! Another gem had Snow White refusing to kiss the 7 dwarfs on the forehead, because why not throw in a little boundary setting in the middle of a fairy tale? Instead, she demands a handshake. Enter Dopey, who attempts to sneak in a kiss and gets promptly rejected. Apparently that didn't test well either. Now, Disney's bigwigs decided these moments were too much to handle, fearing they'd only stoke the already burning flames of the film's tonal and thematic struggles. But here's the kicker. To Zegler and her supporters, these cuts weren't just a minor tweak. They represented a broader push to sanitize anything that might even remotely stir the pot. Because we all know how sensitive audiences are, right? God forbid you take a risk and challenge expectations, even if the changes were meant to be empowering or just different. Let's talk about the sheer chaos that is the continuity in this film. It's a mess. Characters appear in two places at once, costumes inexplicably change mid-scene, and, let's not forget, the dialogue drops references to events that were clearly cut in earlier revisions, leaving audiences scratching their heads. The final act? Rushed. It's as if the editors were frantically piecing together random bits of footage in a desperate attempt to pull something resembling a conclusion out of thin air. Truly, it's a masterclass in cinematic confusion. Oh, the grand showdown with the evil queen? What a letdown. In true Disney fashion, this was supposed to be the emotional high point, but it turns out even the big climactic moments can't save this sinking ship. The whole thing feels like a hodgepodge of conflicting themes, and visually, let's just say it's inconsistent enough to make you wonder if the filmmakers were actively trying to confuse the audience. Financially, Snow White 2025 is shaping up to be a spectacular disaster, one of the biggest flops Disney has seen in modern history. Rumors are flying that the budget, when you factor in marketing, ballooned past $300 million. And what did it bring in opening weekend? A paltry sub-$90 million. Both domestic and international returns have been lukewarm at best, and with negative word of mouth spreading faster than a wildfire, it's only going to get worse. Analysts are already predicting that this could go down as one of the studio's most costly failures. How's that for a legacy? But wait, there's more. Stakeholders, once convinced the Disney brand could power through any storm, are now in full panic mode. Merchandising? An absolute disaster. Toys and tie-in apparel are practically gathering dust, and retailers are slashing prices on these items just days after release. I'm sure Disney's top brass is thrilled about that. And it gets juicier. Some major partners are reportedly furious, feeling they were sold a surefire blockbuster that would set the world on fire and stir up consumer demand. Instead, they're stuck with stock no one wants. The whispers in the industry suggest that future deals with Disney might come with performance clauses tighter than a noose. After a string of underperforming products, retailers aren't about to sit idly by. Their patience is wearing thin. Inside Disney, oh, it's a mood. Reports indicate the atmosphere is seriously grim. Creative teams are in shock after the onslaught of negative feedback, while Disney's higher-ups scramble to come up with some kind of public relations strategy that might save face. But with Bob Iger trying to balance keeping the stock price afloat with the monumental task of rethinking the studio's approach to legacy properties, things are looking increasingly untenable. Oh, and about Iger's planned exit in 2026, some staffers are wondering if that might happen a lot sooner. In fact, there's some quiet chatter that an internal power struggle might push for drastic restructuring well before his supposed departure. Morale is low, and it shows. Longtime Disney veterans, who once basked in the glory of crafting some of the most iconic stories in film history, now find themselves pushed aside by new corporate mandates that prioritize synergy and PR-friendly narratives over actual storytelling. How's that for a fairy tale gone horribly wrong? Stay tuned for more. Subscribe to channel and press the bell icon for next episode of Disney Drama. Till next video, bye.